Good time of day, guys! My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi... yeah, that's the word. Higurashi When They Cry console arcs. Last episode, we started Kamikashimashi, and it's alright so far. I mean, I wouldn't say it's better than Outbreak so far, but I don't know, I guess it has the potential to be better or worse, I guess, because, you know, we're only 1 hour in, and presumably this arc is at least as long as Outbreak was, but I guess that's yet to be seen. But yeah, last episode, club members met Une, who's totally not, I don't want to say sinister, because I would doubt sinister intentions, but maybe. But there's definitely something going on with her, because I just so happened to notice, when I booted up the game, I was like, that's not the outfit she wears, or did they change her outfit to look like, you know, like regal regalia shit in the Steam version, which I guess we'll see when her sprite shows back up, but if I remember correctly, she's just wearing, like, a fucking smock dress thing. I don't know. I don't know. It's either a dress or a very long shirt. So, yeah. And Rika and Hanyu met some other fucking god with a very long name, and we'll just shorten it to Tom. Kidding. Tamara. So, yeah, and also Takano's behind everything, because, duh. I mean, what did we expect? Like, oh yeah, this time it was eerie. No. It was an accident. Seriously? Whatever. Anyways, let's read. I'm guessing this is Mion talking. From what I can see, the office of the Sonozaki group still seems to be safe. Mion and the others had traveled along the building's wall, stopping at one point to pick up some opera glasses to use them as binoculars. Those just happened to be there. Okay. After a bit of surveillance, they had a good idea of what actions they could take near the walls, as well as the movements of the surrounding rioters. Figures they'd be behaving the same as Hinamizawa's neighborhood watch. Generally, they take up positions hiding behind the barricades, but every time they hear something, they shout and race toward it in a rampage. It's ridiculous that they think they're acting reasonably. But now we know their behavior patterns. It also means they were at their hottest back when we first ran into them. Okay, let's see what your sprite is. Yeah, that's definitely a dress. Yeah, no, it's still just a regular dress. Okay. What did I click? I don't know what I clicked. I think I clicked the wrong thing, but whatever. It's not like they're racing around all the time. Right. For us, that's big news all on its own. I don't know who's speaking. Probably Mion still. Either way, we'll be unable to do anything without crossing this river. I'll just assume Keiichi. We can't go any further. No, that's Une. We can't go any further without crossing. So we go quietly, or we go loudly. One or the other. I'm assuming they mean road as river, right? Let's use the cover of night to sneak across. They'll probably set up watches, but it'll still be easier than in broad daylight. We're lucky your injury's lighter than we thought. Thanks to that, we have time on our side. Most of the pain from Mion's injury came from the pain of joints and tendons that she sprained while protecting Rena. Fortunately, the wounds that caused the bleeding were all shallow. Great. I mean, good. What are you going to do, Une-chan? You coming with us? It'll probably be a little lonely here waiting for help that may never come. Everyone else said the same thing before leaving and getting killed, didn't they? I can understand how you feel. It's not like I don't want to leave here because it's scary. Do you trust us? It's not that I don't.
The more I watch you all in action, the less it feels dangerous to stay with you.
Every one of our club members is strong individually, but together, we're invincible.
If you're willing to trust us, then we'll definitely protect you.
Though that assumes some guarantee that the Sonozaki Group's office is safer than it is here. That's not an issue. They keep all kinds of emergency reserves in there so they can hole up if anything bad happens. Your family is seriously good at preparing for things. It's almost like they have mafia connections, you know? Duh. Our family's policy is to finish fights by the time they start.
We owe you for saving us, Une-san, so we'll repay that debt to you. We'll make sure to bring you somewhere safe. It's not like I'm happy.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting speech quirk, but hey, more power to her. It's not like, you know, Rena doesn't exist in this group too, so... That little girl was stuck all alone in this unprecedented disaster. Of course she'd be anxious. At first, we thought she was silent and expressionless, but she was slowly opening up to our energetic club members. This young girl wasn't originally the silent type. She just closed her heart off a bit, in order to protect it from the shock of this disaster.
Where's your home, Une-chan? It's not like I lived in this town.
Huh? Then where is your home? Don't tell me. You got caught up in this mess while hanging out with someone in Okinomiya? That's... You must have been real worried.
Is it far from here? It's not close, but all the bridges are broken and I can't get home.
I see.
That's so sad. But there's one fortunate thing about that.
Right, I suppose there is.
It means that your family's not caught in this uproar, so they're all safe. Isn't that right?
Well, presumably.
That's right.
Whatever her family consists of. That was the one saving grace for her. She knew for certain that her family and her home were safe. Yeah, I don't think she's sinister. I would be kind of... not put off, but definitely surprised if they have all this and then turn around and she's evil. I feel like it's just gonna be, you know, Takano doing some shit somewhere and that Tamura god also being a piece of shit, and I don't know, Une is the Akasaka of this scenario, I guess? I don't know, that's the best thing I can think of. The government had destroyed all the tunnels and bridges leading into Shishibone City, so it was physically cut off. That basically meant they were admitting that it would at least take time to determine a solution for this problem. On the other hand, though, since they went that far, they were also able to keep the damage from spreading beyond the city. Those living in the city were probably depressed or enraged, believing that the government had abandoned them. But in terms of the big picture, that was the right call. Thanks to that decision, Une's home was safe. You're just automatically assuming she's from Shishibone? She still had hope. That was how she was able to keep going this long, even amidst crushing despair. Once we understood what she was going through, we all looked down for a moment, and then clenched our fists with a growing sense of purpose. If you hadn't rescued us, who knows what would have happened to us?
It's very likely that some of us would have died. The debt we owe you for saving our lives can't be called a cheap one.
Yeah, that's right, Une-chan. Us club members will do everything within our power to ensure you make it home.
Thank you for that.
Operation Crossing will commence tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. We'll use the cover of night to cross the main street in one go and reach the office. If it's summer, wouldn't 4 a.m. be, like, not a good time? Because if it takes too long, the sun will just rise in less than an hour, right? Jesus. I'll be taking the lead and scouting ahead to prepare for the worst. I don't want to think about it, but we can't deny the possibility that everyone in the office has gone crazy too. While Mion warned us about that, she seemed confident it wasn't the case. She was probably able to confirm they retained their sanity when she was observing the office with the opera glasses. We all went to bed early so we'd be in top condition. Satoko set a trap to detect intruders, but it was hard to sleep while fearing the sound of that empty can. Alright. I'm guessing this chapter split is to go back to Rika land, right? Rika Tomatake land. And Hanyu. Can't forget about her. Oh, no, well, maybe, I don't know. Even so, I definitely fell asleep at some point. Then I woke up to Mion poking me. Okay, nope, we're still with the club. It's time to get up. Oh, yeah. I'm surprised you woke up on time without any alarms.
Mi-chan said she didn't sleep.
You were the one who slept soundest of us all. Good grief, how bold.
It should be pitch black, but it isn't.
You're right. Moonlight is surprisingly bright.
You're also in a city. If it really was the moonlight, it might have been a bit romantic. The traffic lights and other illumination were still on, lighting up the city without rest. Unlike Hinamizawa, Okinomiya never had nights of pitch black darkness. I didn't know if we should consider that fortunate or disadvantageous for our stealth. Well, it's still better than broad daylight, right? Occasionally there were glimpses of light from flashlights on the main street, filled with rows of unoccupied vehicles. They had set up a watch, just as we predicted. But regardless, their guard was still thinner than it was in broad daylight. Okay, we can do this.
We're going to be okay, aren't we?
Just leave it to us. There's nothing to fear. We'll cross it easily.
We have our secret weapon, too.
I hope we manage to do this quietly. If we rush in and make a lot of noise, we'll cause issues for those in the office, too.
That's true. From our reconnaissance, it looked like the Sonozaki office was cutting off all contact with the outside. They had set up barricades, and they weren't interacting with the rioters at all. If they had surrendered their hearts to demons like the rioters had, then they wouldn't be setting up defenses, and they'd be fully participating in the hunt for the infected. But if we were to rush in there while being chased by rioters, then they'd say that the Sonozaki group is harboring the infected, and end up causing an uproar. We had to strive for complete stealth. Une slowly unlocked the door leading outside. Opening that door here in Okinomiya, where the streets were basically an ocean teeming with sharks, meant facing the same fear as trying to step into a lion's cage.
It's not like I'm not afraid.
I'll take the lead. If I fail, retreat quickly, just as we planned. Don't even think about trying to save me. Got it? That goes both ways. If I sprain my foot again, abandon me.
We really will this time, so be careful, Keiichi-kun.
Yeah.
The operation will now begin. If something happens, leave it to me.
Satoko was carrying a radio-controlled car she borrowed from somewhere on the second floor. Okay. She tested moving in a straight line with the remote controls, then set it up to drag an empty can fastened behind it. It could be our decoy if the worst happened. However, that sound would draw unwanted attention. It wasn't a trump card to help us reach the office. It was a trump card to buy us a chance to retreat if the operation failed. The success rate of Mion's operation was roughly 95%. Oh, okay. So there's not really much stakes. But we still couldn't bring the chance of failure down to 0. It was Mion's policy to imagine all possibilities and prepare for each one of them, so to ensure that the worst possible outcome not catch them off guard. She gave the GOAT sign to Satoko's remote control plan. I'm heading out. Make sure you stay a fair bit away from me. Okay. We carefully opened the door, and once we were certain enough that everything was quiet around us, Mion slipped outside. Unlike Hinamizawa, everything in Okinomiya was covered in concrete, so even the faintest sounds echoed. If you stepped on a small rock on the asphalt, you could hear it from rather far away. Well, might be better going barefoot. Mion took off her shoes. Okay. No matter how carefully we walked, the hard rubber soles couldn't silence the sound of pebbles scraping asphalt. Even with socks on, it would hurt a city kid to walk on the surface barefoot. But for us Hinamizawa kids who always chased each other around, climbing trees barefoot, walking on asphalt with no shoes was nothing.
It's time to see whether or not Keiichi-san, our former city kid, can tolerate going barefoot.
I've trained myself up a lot by now. Don't take me lightly.
Une-chan, are you okay going barefoot? It hurts. I'm sorry. Just bear with it for a little while, okay?
Mion poked her head out of the alley and checked on the river with rows of unoccupied cars. It was too easy to see across the wide sidewalk. We'd have to cut across it in one go and duck behind the row of cars. The self-proclaimed watch also realized that clear view meant it was the best place for keeping a lookout. We could see them shining a beam of light straight down the sidewalk every now and then with their flashlights. They were excessively frightened and were seeking out an enemy. If they sensed even the slightest presence, they'd cause a lot of noise and summon their friends. This is good. I've been looking for a thrill like this. Mion boldly licked up the sweat trailing down her nose and smiled. She used hand signs to signal her friends to wait and calculated her timing. The watch's lights were restless. They wandered back and forth, glancing everywhere in fidgety motions. Their fear left them needing to light up every shadow, so that anxiety created plenty of openings. Now. Quick and nimble, like a cat, Mion dashed across the sidewalk and ducked into the row of cars. It went so quickly and easily that all of her prior tension seemed misplaced. Keiichi and the others heaved a heavy sigh of relief as they watched from the shadows. Keiichi, the second one up, was about to follow after her, but Mion gave them the sign to hold. It looked like she wanted to carefully cross the river of cars and check out the sidewalk on the opposite bank. Shoot, that's bad. When she had scouted it from the roof right before commencing the operation, there wasn't anyone over there. But at some point, 3 men from the watch had taken up posts on the opposite shore. They were heading right towards her. She wasn't exposed just yet. They were just walking around shining lights randomly at the cars. Mion calmly found a truck with a high frame and slid underneath it. It's okay. It's okay. They haven't spotted us. If they had noticed us, would they be walking so carelessly? Even if she was 99% certain she was safe, she could feel herself sweating. Pathetic, Sonozaki Mion. To think I'd be sweating this badly over a little hide and seek. Make sure you don't overlook any infected. All their brains are damaged. Plus, they'll try to bite us and spread the virus further. You're the ones with damaged brains, though. Mion smirked. Still, once her feet stopped in front of the truck she hid under, her smile froze. Did they find her?
We're done for. Calm down. They're not acting like they have.
They're getting in?
The men from the watch climbed up into the bed of the truck Mion had hid under. Apparently there were folding chairs or something inside the truck bed. The men then sat down on them, which meant the men had taken position directly above Mion. She was practically a bug pinned in place. Hey, seriously? Sweat dripped from Mion's forehead. Keiichi and the others understood the situation just as well. Mion couldn't move at all. There was no guaranteeing they wouldn't hear anything when she crawled out from under the truck. Oops, I clicked off the app. Not only that, but Mion couldn't see what was going on above her at all. Even if she were able to slip out without making a sound, there was no guarantee they wouldn't happen to look around and catch sight of her. Mion couldn't move from there until they left that post. Couldn't they, in theory, like, find some way to... Do I hear something? That's my heater. I'm just stupid. Couldn't they, in theory, just, you know, find some way to take care of them? Are there 3 people or 2? I only saw 2. No, wait, yeah, there were 3, right? Yeah, 3. Okay. So, like, if they just take them out, I don't know. That would have been smart, but that's a tough position. Mion couldn't move from there until they left that post.
It's not like I know what to do.
Is it finally time for our secret weapon?
Only as a last resort. We could save Mion, but that would cause way too much noise. I yell from the back alley.
Still, get it ready.
Satoko nodded, set her remote-controlled car on the sidewalk, and fastened the empty can to it. It wasn't pre-fastened. Once we let it loose, it was sure to draw their attention. Either way, the operations failed. We need to create an opening for Mion to make her escape. It'll be better to try again later.
I agree. We just had bad timing.
Is that from the fucking... I swear I hear, like, thumping. I'm just gonna have one headphone off, then.
I agree. We just had bad timing. Let's try again.
I don't know if it's a song or what. The club members knew exactly when to pull out, thanks to our many dangerous club activities. Naturally, Mion was thinking the same thing. Keiichi and the others would probably create a chance for her to escape. She'd have to slip out in that moment. Yeah, it's in the fucking game. I heard it in my left ear. Still, they had to wait for a time. There was still a chance the men in the bed above her would stand back up and go off somewhere else. Even if they managed to retreat, causing an uproar now would make it even more difficult to cross the river a second time. Even though Mion practically had a pin pushed through her heart, we had to stay calm and wait for our chance at victory. Okay, song change. We should get Une-chan back to safety first. She wasn't used to being barefoot. She might have trouble running full tilt if it came down to that.
Keiichi-kun, take Une-chan and secure our retreat. Satoko-chan, watch my back.
Leave it to me. Keiichi-san, you've got a great responsibility.
I know. I'll leave this to you two. Let's go, Une-chan.
Yes.
Keiichi took Une and left for the time being. He thought he'd face death in Hinamizawa, but Hinamizawa was full of nothing but old people. Plus, they had a home ground advantage there. But they were playing an away game under different rules in Okinomiya. If I'd known this was going to happen, I would have played around here more. Une was panting. No one could blame her. Things were so tense. Her breathing was ragged from both exhaustion and fear. Let's rest a moment and catch our breath.
Thank you.
While Une calmed her breathing, Keiichi sharpened his senses and searched for anyone nearby. Was the door not directly in the alley? He sensed one. Not good. Someone's coming.
Huh?
I hear several footsteps. It's the watch. There was hardly anywhere to hide. If they screwed up and got caught, then their escape route would be cut off. They couldn't take any risks. There were no other streets. They had to turn back and pray the men went somewhere else. But the main street was the primary artery for their watch circuit. There was a high probability they would head directly toward Rena and the others. Let's head back. We can't run into them here.
We're going back again? Attacking us from both sides.
That might happen. Anyway, let's head back. Okay. Keiichi's prediction was spot on. They didn't go down any other street and headed straight for the main road. There were 4 young men about college age carrying bent metal bats. At this rate, they'd attack Rena and the others from the rear.
We're pincered in? That's bad. Well, isn't this interesting? I hardly thought I'd get to feel as much suspense as I do during club activities.
There's no way back. So then what can we do?
You don't mean... do you... If we can't go back, then we have to go forward. We'll have to use our remote control trap to draw the enemy's attention, and then seize that chance to advance.
It was a dangerous strategy. We'd probably be able to get out of this pinch. But once they start shouting, the rest of the watch will all wake up at once. If we get unlucky enough to run into them on our way forward, then we'll be trapped like rats. If it's just 2 or 3 people, then we can handle them somehow with our club members' full might. But if the uproar brings a huge crowd chasing after us, then we'll just be kids, unable to fight back. Still, even with a few misfortunes thrown our way, this wasn't a game with no chance of victory. You just kill them, obviously.
Satoko-chan, ready your trap. Ready whenever you are.
Sidewalk's clear. We can cross now.
Go! Satoko-chan, do it! Leave it to me.
Let's go, Une-chan. Run!
It's not like I can't run.
We all crossed at once and ducked into the row of cars. But there was no way to prevent the men in the truck from noticing our dash. The moment they looked over to see what it was, Satoko's remote control trap activated. The car dragged the empty can fastened to it, making a loud metal noise as it raced down the sidewalk. What? What's that sound? They're running! After them! Has to be the infected! Their paranoia and fear turned into violent aggression and anger. That's a new one. The men in the truck leapt onto car roofs and car hoods, chasing after the loud remote control car. The silence of night was shattered, with angry cries and whistles blasting from here and there. The city's madness was awakened. But Mion was released from her prison under the truck. What are you doing? It's still too early for that. We were pincered. We had to set it off.
Une-san, time to show us what you're made of. We can't go back. There's more coming that way.
One after another, rioters with bloodshot eyes dashed out of the alley everyone had just been hiding in. There must have been a building or something housing them all nearby. The option of turning back and returning to safety was cut off. We had to move forward. If we have to go forward, then forward we go. There's not much distance left. I just pray the Sonozaki group hasn't forgotten what you look like. Kei-chan, you sure say some funny things.
Don't let your guard down! We can't relax until we've made it inside the Sonozaki group's office. Agreed. There's still a chance Shion-san might say, "Who the heck are you?" Bleh.
Doubt that. True. More importantly, Mion, don't forget your promise to belly dance for us. When? Oh, the belly button thing, whatever. You said you would when Une-chan lowered that ladder. Did I say that?
Une-chan, hang in there. Just a little further.
It's right around that corner. Huh? I think Mion completely let her guard down. All we had left was to cut the tape at the finish line after our final spurt. I'm sure that's what she thought. But the finish line wasn't something we could cut through. Huh? What's going on? What is this? The street was sealed off with barbed wire mesh. Either the Sonozaki group did it to secure their safety in front of their office, or the rioters did it to keep infected from coming through, but we didn't know which. Regardless, the reality was that the street was blocked off, with the office right in front of us. If we had known about this barricade ahead of time, our strategy would have been greatly different. How do you not notice that? What? We could only call it bad luck. It was in a perfect blind spot from the angle Mion had when scouting it with the opera glasses. Oh, of course. And that slight blind spot unfortunately brought a second misfortune with this barricade. Would you not scout out the route to make sure at least the alley you're going through isn't blocked off? It wasn't impossible to climb over it if you were prepared to hurt yourself on the barbed wire. But we couldn't force that on Une, who didn't have the resolve of us club members.
Alternate routes?
There's one. If we swing around from the alley across. That was when bright beams of light shone upon us all. Who are you all? There! It's the infected! Our blood froze. We were finished. Une couldn't bear the fear any longer and let out a piercing scream. We were out of options. Our opponents had us beaten in build, ferocity, and numbers as well. The rioters gathered together one after another, surrounding us and trapping us in the barricaded alley, when Tomitake came in and ran him over. That was when several dry shots rang out. Mion quickly shouted, "Down," and pushed our heads to the ground. The rioters, who didn't recognize the sound of gunshots, stood there bewildered. Oh, never mind, someone's shooting at them? Oh no, it is Tomitake. Gentlemen, that's enough! Unlawful lynching is unacceptable, no matter the circumstance! It was the sound of Tomitake firing into the air with a submachine gun he took out of the Irie Institution's security room. Maybe the rioters thought it was just a model gun or something, but they showed no fear, and only glared at Tomitake for interrupting their hunt. With Okinomiya's medical facilities paralyzed right now, even a shot to the leg could prove fatal. Tomitake didn't want to shoot, but he gulped as the rioters proved unfazed. I don't want to shoot you all. Leave this to me. Hanyu!
Comrades of mine, calm your spirits. I am Oyashiro-sama, your leader.
I mean, that works too. Hanyu's stern words rang out solely for inhuman ears. The rioters stopped and stood still, their mouths wide open. Eventually, they sat down directly on the ground and waited absent-mindedly. Even if Takano had modified them to be more ferocious, they were still Hanyu's brethren. They couldn't escape the power of her words. The eyes of Mion and the others went wide with shock, but they realized this was their narrow chance to get out alive. Everyone, go now! What's this? What's going on?
It's Oyashiro's power, Nipa. Thank you for rescuing us, Rika-chan. Tomitake-san.
We heard the commotion. We made the right choice rushing over. What were you all doing out here?
The office of the Sonozaki group is just beyond here.
We weren't aware of the barricade and got cornered like rats.
Hi. Pathetic. You cut it that close with my sis on your side.
Shion! Shion, Kasai, and a few other men in black outfits approached from behind the barricade. Every one of them carried a gun, but none of them had the ferocious expressions of the rioters. Seems the Sonozaki group had retained their sanity and focused on holing up inside.
Please, give us a break, will you?
Drop the word there.
We don't want to get involved with those crazies. We're sorry for causing such a stir. If you're safe, Shion-san, then we have nothing to fear anymore. That's right. I'm more reliable than 10 of my sister, all by myself. Kasai, open it for them.
Come in, everyone. Kasai unlocked the padlock on the chain, securing the barricade's doors shut.
Still, what on earth is going on? What happened to them? What on earth? You don't need to worry about them. If you leave them alone, they'll eventually wander off.
Now. Why don't we just appreciate this chance granted to us through Oyashiro-sama's miracles? Come on, Une-chan. You're safe now.
There's nothing to worry about now that we have Shion-san with us, too. That's right. Satogo understands, at least. By the way, who's this girl? Hello. There.
She's Une-chan. She saved our lives.
What's the matter, Hanyu?
Oh. She senses something.
You are.
We all slipped through the barricade and were welcomed into the Sonozaki group's office. Yet that sight was being observed from far away through binoculars. What, by Takano? Yeah, I mean, who else? Oishi? I found you! That's the girl. Rika, presumably, or maybe Une? Nope, chapter split, okay. She's looking for either Rika or Une. Une's got some relevance, but we don't know yet. Probably about to figure it out. I mean, this at least confirms she's not sinister, or else Hanyu would probably be like, Wait! Hold the fucking phone! You know? She's just like, oh, you, I remember you. You're chill. Yeah, I'm chill. The Sonozaki group's office had been turned into a shelter for the local residents. We could see the townsfolk lying down here and there, huddled under blankets. You could say that the Sonozaki group is this region, after all. Under my mom's orders, we've been taking in people with nowhere else to go since the chaos started. What do you mean people with nowhere to go? She means people just like Une-chan. Those that came here for work or visited for pleasure. There are a lot of people from outside Okinomiya that got caught up in this mess. The Watch went after those with nowhere else to go first. We could have fought against them, but Akane-san ordered us to avoid that. Wouldn't that be more direct, though? So after securing as many people as they could, they built up their surroundings with those barricades to limit their contact with the Watch and prevent any further trouble. To the Watch, all outsiders were the infected. If they knew so many outsiders were being sheltered here, there would be big trouble. Don't you guys have snipers? You could just be like, okay, that's the Watch. Pew 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 pew. Alright, a little bit safer.
Is this place safe? I can guarantee it's the safest place in Okinomiya. The community center was the main shelter at first, but that place has collapsed. So this is what's left. Collapsed? You know what they say about too many cooks.
What started as just fighting over leadership led to murder. It's terrifying. I see. The leadership here is solid, so you've managed to establish order and keep people from handing their hearts over to the demons.
Impressive. So are the police and such still operating then?
They're scattered across the city responding to riots, and there are lies going around that they're harboring infected. The situation's beyond anything the police were prepared for. There's no way they can handle it. Is Oishi alive at least? My boy? That said, you were brave out there, Tomitake. Where'd you get such a wonderful gun? Well, I just happened to pick it up. You know, that's not what amateurs can handle. You're a man of many mysteries.
Rika? Rika!
Oh, what's the matter? Huh? Rika-chan's not here? Une-chan's gone too. Some sort of conversation.
I thought I saw those two talking over there just a moment ago.
Okay. What do you mean, Hanyu? What's your issue with this girl? There is an issue?
Quiet. I'm speaking to her right now.
What are you saying? Who on earth is this Une girl? The sound of a tuning fork echoed in Rika's head. The tone gradually changed, almost like it was being, well, tuned. Rika understood. This was a conversation between inhuman beings. It was like they were using a radio. They were searching for the right wavelength to allow mutual conversation. Which meant this Une girl had to be...
This is Hanyu, leader of the Horned People. Who are you?
Oh, she doesn't know her. That was when both tones began to resonate. Alright, we blompin'. A bright light enveloped everything. I mean, maybe this girl is whoever Takano is hunting down. That's the only explanation I can think of. The moment that light cleared away, Rika, Hanyu, and Une were floating in the world of inhuman beings. Oh, okay. The eyes of the young girl named Une occasionally took on the same light, sure, that dwelled within Hanyu's. I was certain. This girl was someone like me and Hanyu, some inhuman being. Hanyu stared long into Une's eyes, waiting for her response. Okay, yeah, that's the outfit she had on the sprite thing.
I am Une. I am afraid. There's nothing to fear. We have no intention of fighting anyone. What people do you come from?
What followed in response wasn't words, but something conducted through telepathy. Various images were practically forced into Rika's head, like she was being compelled to daydream. The ocean of stars and space, her blue earth shining in the distance. Apparently Une was something that had only recently arrived on Earth. Something. She had finally arrived at this land after a long journey, just as Hanyu's people had. Okay, I see.
So that's the case. After your long journey, you finally... I was frozen in that pitch black ocean, and I finally reached this land. Yet...
Rika finally realized that she was terrified. She had finally arrived here, and now she was anxious as to whether she could life safely or not. It wasn't unreasonable. From her perspective as an inhuman being, it was far too dangerous in Okinomiya with the current uproar. The people turned ferocious by ETA 173 were killing each other in a sight out of hell. So, the bridges are broken meant something more metaphorical, I guess, yeah. It was far too sad for her to receive such a welcome after finally reaching this land after her long frozen journey through space. Hanyu then followed up by sending Une images of what she knew. For a while, Rika's head was flooded with both of their passing images, her mind like a television screen flickering between channels. Then they finally understood each other's upbringing, circumstances, and present situation. Rika was also able to convert those concepts into human words and understand it vaguely. First off, she understood that Une was the same as Hanyu and Tamara, an inhuman being. She was one of the inhuman people from space who lived within humans just as humans lived on Earth. She reached this planet just the other day. However, that was according to said inhuman being's perception of time, so it might have been several years. Her body had finally acclimated to Earth, and she had just gained self-awareness. She was more of a seed as she drifted through space, and only regained her self-awareness after taking root here on Earth and finally budding. Rika also understood the special nature of Une's people. The special nature of Hanyu's horned people drove people to paranoia when they grew unstable, and caused their hearts to become possessed by those demons. That was a disadvantage for them when trying to coexist with humanity, and it was a problem both Hanyu, Tamara, and the horned people recognized. That problem is also the aspect that Takano showed interest in. In Une's case, her people carried no such disadvantage. They were much better adapted to coexisting with humanity than Hanyu's people were. Okay? So unlike you, they're the type that Tamara would have welcomed.
There's no way Tamara Hime no Mikoto would welcome any new arrivals. To her, both Une and I are equally terrifying invaders.
Une's people possessed strength nearly equal to Hanyu's. Strength? The image that's pouring into my head is the strength of a plant's roots. Is this Hanyu?
Fragile flowers that bloom beautifully in a flower garden will sometimes be overtaken by wildflowers with powerful roots. It's that same strength.
So, yeah, in other words, an invasive species. In Hanyu's world, their peoples were better described with the concept of plants than animals. Yes, even in the world of plants, there was survival of the fittest. Hanyu and Une had very strong power to survive. Their peoples were hardy species with strong roots. So what about Tamara's people? The ones that view you as an enemy?
Her people are much weaker than mine. However, that's no one's fault, nor is it fate. It's just the special nature we were born with.
To these inhuman beings, the Earth was a big flower bed. They were all trying to sow their seeds and allow their species, to flourish. In the past, Tamara's people were the only flowers blooming in the flower bed of Earth. Then Hanyu's species showed up, and with their strong reproductive ability, they quickly dried up Tamara's people and increased their population. So of course, from Tamarahime no Mikoto's perspective, they were invaders. On top of that, Hanyu's species posed the risk of destroying the flower bed if they grew unstable. Nothing could survive if the flower bed was destroyed. So that's why Hanyu's people agreed to confine themselves to Hinamizawa, the flower bed best suited for them, until they were able to gain the power to coexist with their flower bed. Yet now, this Une, a species with the same amount of strength, has once again entered the flower bed. Fortunately, Une's people will not harm the flower bed. However, they possess the strength to easily wipe out Tamara's people.
We have no such intentions. We just want a little bit of land for ourselves. I understand how you feel. I support you in this as well, as one who has also crossed the ocean of stars.
In that case, she's just arrived at the worst possible time. It's hard to imagine Tamara welcoming another species with Hanyu's people running rampant like they are now.
I am scared. We simply want to bloom quietly in peace.
Is there no land beyond Tamara's reach? I'm guessing Hanyu.
Nearly all the land of Japan belongs to Tamara's people. Even if she were to leave Japan, there are other peoples living in those lands too.
So the Earth is like a full apartment complex with no vacancies. Then who the fuck in charge of New York? The stupids peoples? I don't fucking know. Well, maybe just my own town. I mean, if it's just down to town levels, then yeah, like it wouldn't be all of New York. It'd be like smaller than even the county level.
But I believe Tamarahime no Mikoto's people are claiming too much. We must respect those who lived here before us, but they should share the land. Tamara's a bully for monopolizing it, Al.
Why don't you just go all Sengoku era and compete for the land? Survival of the fittest is the law of nature, right?
Because that would lead to something terrible. Our flower bed and this very planet would meet their end, Al.
Now that you mention it, you and Une are about equally strong, right? What would happen if you fought?
I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight either. And there's no point in fighting her anyway, because our strength is equal.
Meaning what?
In our case, the flower bed would go to the fastest one, Al. I don't want to fight.
So you're saying that the people of Hinamizawa can't be infected by Une, right?
That's right.
And likewise, the humans with Une's parasite can't come down with Hinamizawa syndrome.
That would be correct.
I think I might have figured out how to identify aliens. Anyway, something's nagging at me. This means... Hanyu, what were we doing again?
Al? Did you hit your head on tofu or something?
Pfft, we can't allow Takano to run wild, right? She's trying to spread ETA 173 throughout the world. So our goal is to stop that, right?
Yes, it is. But what about it?
You're an idiot! A huge idiot! I can't believe it! It's 2 birds with 1 stone!
I don't really understand you.
We just need to forget about Tamara and help this girl live freely on our planet. I mean, the humans possessed by Tamara's people can be taken over by Une, right? And the people Une's taken over can't be taken over by your people. The pair of stupid aliens both tilted their heads in confusion. Makes sense. Now all the pieces are in place. I know the identity of Takano's devil. This is all we have to do. So that's Une, yeah. So we just need to get Une into the people of Japan faster than Takano. Once we do that, no one will become infected, even if Takano spreads ETA 173 everywhere. Well, I would feel kind of bad about clearing Tamara's people out, so why don't we stick to just the prefecture so we can block Takano in? There's 47 different prefectures, so Tamarahime no Mikoto can spare at least 1. Oh, so no, she's covering all of Japan except for Hinamizawa. Okay. Once we've surrounded Takano with Une, she won't be able to spread the infection any further. We'll seal off the spread of ETA 173 and be able to prevent further damage. Now I get it. That development would prove fatal from Takano's perspective. Une has to be the true identity of the devil she spoke to Tomitake about. That's the only thing that makes sense. So then wait, is Tamara helping Takano? Because she said she's being helped by God, so wouldn't that be Tamara? Except why the fuck would Takano's plan, as assisted by Tamara, be to spread Hinamizawa syndrome, or in other case, remove Tamara's people to make room for Hanyu's people? Why would Tamara want that? Especially when it means it's just going to have Hanyu's people killing people, so yeah, whatever. Une and Eta 173 are evenly matched. They can't beat each other. If we infect people with Une before they get Eta 173, then we'll ruin all of Takano's plans. So there you have it.
Oh! That's an incredible idea, Rika! I kind of understand, maybe? This is an incredibly good idea. Une will get to live on our planet, and we'll be able to prevent any more tragedy. Plus, we'll drive Tamara out of this prefecture, so it's 2 birds with 1 stone.
Isn't the goal to not start a war with her, though? If Une occupies the entire prefecture, then Tamara's people will be driven out of here. That would mean we never see Tamarahime no Mikoto again unless we left the prefecture, and we wouldn't have to listen to her complaints. For the first time in 1,000 years, we could strike a blow against the god who claimed all of Japan for herself and nagged us anytime we set even a foot upon her land. I don't buy that she's supposed to be an antagonist, because I don't even buy the motivation along with Takano. What is Hanyu doing, by the way? Okay. Hanyu was dancing with joy. That's what she was doing? She must be thoroughly at odds with Tamara. Well, with such an arrogant attitude and condescending posturing, even Rika wanted to strike her after only meeting her once.
What should I do?
There's nothing we can do about Okinomiya. After all, this city's already infected with Eta 173. So you can't infect the people here, right?
That's right. In that case, what should we do?
Well, According to Tomitake, all means of transit out of the city had been cut off to prevent the spread of infection. So the tunnel? In other words, we couldn't get Une out of Eta 173's infected region. We would have to escape this city before Takano does, and spread Une's people. We should probably talk to Tomitake and gain his support. Since Tomitake knows about the parasitic neurovirus, he should understand our situation too. Even if he does reject the idea of spreading Une, the information could lead to the discovery of a new treatment or even a vaccine. Rika called Tomitake over and explained the situation. Of course, gaining his understanding took until dawn. Yet even so, he ultimately understood. Interesting. Alright. We'll have to leave the decision up to Tokyo. But her existence is... it's a huge deal. If Une-chan's willing to cooperate, then we can prepare comfortable accommodations for her as well.
I wouldn't be opposed to being comfortable.
Tomitake's an understanding man.
I'm sure he'll treat you well, Une. I'm happy.
That's good that she's happy.
The end of this tragedy is finally in our sights.
Well, we can't claim that until we get Une outside of the city. But it's at least one problem solved, I suppose. The Sonozaki Group office was the safest and most tightly guarded place in Okinomiya. It had food, resources, weapons, everything. They had Tomitake's understanding and cooperation. They had Une's cooperation as well. In terms of chess, they were now a few moves away from checkmate. Oh, chess analogy, woo. It was a perfect time for their opponent to give up. Unless the Joker, Takano, caused some kind of uproar. Plus, there's that obnoxious Tamarahime, no whatever.
She's not likely to welcome what we're trying to do now.
Nope. That was when they heard the ringing of a tuning fork, and bright white light enveloped both Rika and Hanyu. She's here. Tamarahime no Mikoto. Oh boy, time to talk to Pinky again. What's up, bitch? Speak of the devil. How dare you, leader of the horned people? Truly, you have been plotting to taint our land with your filthy shoes.
We will welcome our new friend Une. Yet that does not mean we will steal all of your land.
Be quiet, Tainted One. Know that we shall not permit your conspiracy to corrupt our land. Listen, there's this villain, Takano, and she's plotting to spread what you call the Horned People to all of Japan. No, the entire world. If she does, then your people will be exterminated. Getting angry at us isn't going to prevent that from happening. If you're willing to cede a bit of land to Une, then Une's people can live on this planet, and you won't lose any more land. Hanyu won't have to see your face ever again either. And this can all be settled quietly between you three. Be quiet, child of man. Know that you are not permitted to use your tainted words.
Ow.
Stop using that headache power.
She has always been stubborn and refuses to listen. Nothing you say will ever get through to her.
You are the one who never listens. You tainted people. You horned people. My anger is not abated, even after 1,000 years.
I could say the same to you. I haven't lost any of my anger either, for all of your harassment.
I didn't know what kind of history those two shared, but if they held on to their grudges for a millennium, then the cause of their antagonism ran deep. Apparently their history really isn't something humans, who only live for around a century, could moderate. Well, that's just how gods are. Humans worship them all on their own, and yet the gods worship themselves, and yet the gods themselves are more human than humans. There are plenty of myths in every country about gods arguing and fighting with each other. I don't care about the fight between you two. Tamura no whatever. If you don't want to listen, that's fine. But this is the only way to stop the tragedy happening in the human world.
You wouldn't understand anything I said anyway, foolish priestess of the Horned People. Know that I have no intentions of exchanging words with a tainted priestess either. You're a god, okay, but you really tick me off. Maybe we shouldn't stop at one prefecture and just take Toyama and Gifu while we're at it too? I will not allow it. Know that I shall not allow you to corrupt the land of my people once more.
There was a sound of glass shattering, followed by an angry, bellowing roar. What happened? Considering the timing, it was obvious Tamura had done something. Yet Tamura no Mikoto was an inhuman being like Hanyu. She shouldn't be able to interfere with the world of man directly. Takano-san? Oh, hi. Hello, Jiro-san. I had faith you and I would meet again. Takano had broken through the window and flew into the office. The whole spectacle was as flashy as a scene from a movie, and the men were all taken aback. Of course, even Tomatake couldn't avoid being dumbstruck. She was always unpredictable, but that was only in personality. She never had the physical ability to accomplish something like that. The men of the Sonozaki group understood she was hostile from the aggressive smile on her face. Yet unlike with the rioters, they were unsure of how to respond. Meanwhile, Takano was different. She understood exactly what she needed to be doing. How'd she get in here? Tomatake soon understood too. Her target was Une. If we spread Une's infection throughout Japan first, then ETA 173 will become useless. There won't be anything Takano can do then. But since she knew that from the start, she's targeting Une. Trying to uncover where she was hiding out in Okinomiya was inefficient. But once the Sonozaki group started sheltering people, Takano realized something. She just had to wait here, and Une would come to her. I only have business with that girl Une. Could you bring her out for me by chance? I don't know what you're talking about. You don't need to play dumb. I've been watching you this whole time, after all. I won't let you. We're going to contact Tokyo.
Pardon me for interrupting.
Welcome to the Sonozaki Group's office, Mio-san.
My, quite the procession.
Shion appeared with an array of tough men in tow. Are these not just the rioters? It went without explanation that Takano was an uninvited guest.
You're a tough woman, but I think you've gone too far now. I think you're about to understand just how strong I am.
What? Okay. She's just beating people up. Takano grabbed one head each in both her right and left hands, slamming them against opposite walls. Okay. Where did such monstrous strength come from in that slender frame? No. Even someone huge couldn't have produced such strength. The physics of it were all wrong. Even if her slender frame did house monstrous strength, she couldn't have picked those big men up and thrown them so easily from that particular stance. Shion, Kasai, and the other men watched in shock. And all they could do was stare at Takano's otherworldly power. Are you gonna explain it? I mean, in a world with virus gods, I would expect you to explain why this random blonde woman is able to throw people across a room. But whatever.
Shion-chan, if you don't pay attention, then your head will get splattered everywhere.
Shion's dumbstruck eyes met Takano's, and for once she cringed with fear. I couldn't blame her. When a human witnesses something beyond their understanding, they're completely unable to act until they can explain it. Takano's arms looked like huge bear paws to her, and before she could blink, those arms were swinging ferociously toward Shion.
Look out!
As Kasai shoved Shion out of the way, he grabbed Takano's swinging arm and used her own force to capture her arm behind her and shove her body onto the floor.
My. What a frightening person. Where on earth did you obtain such strength?
Kasai, way to go! He got a good lock on her joints and pressed her into the ground. No matter how much strength she had, she shouldn't be able to struggle any longer. Takano wriggled in an effort to escape, but she just looked like a pathetic bug pinned on its back. You should cease your futile resistance. Kasai's a scary man, so if you struggle too much, he might break your arm.
I won't do it unless it's necessary. But I'm no gentleman, so forgive me if it comes to that.
Oh no. I really can't move. With her joints locked so securely, it should hurt enough for her face to twist in pain. Yet Takano remained collected and seemed amused at her inability to move.
Is this the full extent of the power you're granting me? It's not, is it?
Oh, she has... What? She has god powers from Tamara? Takano used her other arm, and with just that single arm, lifted both herself and her grappler Kasai. It was like we were watching some kind of circus performance. No. Takano's irregular, monstrous strength allowed her, with just one arm, to lift both herself and Kasai into the air. Even Kasai couldn't avoid being shocked. In the next moment, he lost his hold on her, and she spun Kasai like a blender, throwing him against the wall. Again, why would Tamara help her? You're having too much fun! Shion got behind Takano and pale blue sparks could be seen. She had driven her trump card, her stun gun, into Takano's body. No matter how strong you are, no body can withstand electric jolts. Yet Takano just calmly turned around.
My, what is that?
That's impossible!
To think a mere child would do such a thing to the priestess of a god. What a bad girl.
So wait, if Tamara can give her these powers, couldn't Hanyu... Well, I guess Hanyu did give Rika powers, they're just different powers.
Takano's hand seized hold of Shion's face. Shion groaned and fought back, and we heard her skull grating. Her resistance like a baby's against Takano's vice-like strength. This is your punishment, okay? The next moment, Shion's body was splayed out against the wall. For Shion, it was no different than her body being slammed into the ground. It felt just like she had been thrown out the second story and slammed onto the hard concrete ground. Then her body slid down and crumpled onto the floor with a groan. Yet Takano was about to walk towards Shion again, looking for something else from her. Stop this now, Takano-san! I don't want to shoot you! Oh my, Jiro-san. That's a very interesting idea. I'm very curious to find out if a human weapon can injure me now. Takano gazed at Tomatake's submachine gun with amusement. It didn't seem to be the uniquely Japanese scorn of assuming it was just a model gun either. She was truly smiling, keenly curious as to what it would happen, okay, if she were shot by it. Tomatake failed to understand that too. Right now, Takano had to be gifted with some form of supernatural power.
You made Takano your priestess, Tamarahime no Mikoto! How could you be such a fool?
Be quiet. Know that I shall not listen to you. I shall punish all peoples who dare to taint our sacred land. Know that your hindrance is useless. Prepare yourself, Une!
I haven't done anything.
Insolence! Know that all your corruption lies bare before my eyes.
It was never my intention to.
She said the same thing when I arrived here and tormented me badly. She's just a bully. Tamara, no whatever. I hold no grudge against you, but I personally dislike your priestess. So sorry, but if you're choosing right, then we're choosing left. Priestess of mine, the devil Une stands here. Now is the moment to slay her.
So that's where you are, Une-chan. Takano looked at the wall. She could see Une's figure through it. Une also noticed she was being stared at and shuddered. Run! We can't stop her! Once Takano checked her right fist, she slowly pressed it into the wall. Seriously? Then, cracks began to spread through the wall, radiating slowly out from her fist. What's happening? Tomatake-san said run! So run!
Une-chan, hurry this way! Run.
The cracks in the wall spread even deeper before their eyes. They could hear the ground quaking. There was no room left for doubts. Takano was planning to smash right through the wall. Why does Tamara's priestess have such incredible power when your priestess gets nothing?
Rika, don't say that. If you say that, it's over, ow, ow, ow.
Rika-chan, what are you doing? Run! Ah! Such a simple wall couldn't stop Takano. No, the priestess of Tamarahime no Mikoto. She smashed through the wall as easily as crushing a sandcastle. I found you, Une-chan!
Une-chan!
Une slipped and fell, failing to escape. Takano wasn't foolish enough to let that chance slip by. She strode right in and seized Une by her collar. Now I've got you. What?
Sorry, it was the pretty, misfortunate girl Satoko-chan. This does fucking hurt, though. Did you think it was Une-san? Too bad for you. Oh!
While she had kept her composure with a gun pointed at her, Takano's mind went blank for a moment after that. They made a fucking evil smile sprite just for that gag. Nice job. After Rika shared Une's secret with them, they prepared the ultimate trap to protect her. They had Satoko, who was close to her height, change into her clothes and take her place. Of course, the slip and fall was all a calculated move to draw Takano's eyes toward her. The shock of seeing her otherworldly power smash through the wall wasn't enough to overcome the thrill of trying to catch her in a trap. And then Takano's just like, oh, well that's fucking stupid, crushes her skull. And everyone's like, oh, maybe that was stupid. Satoko!
Oh, and here's a present for our fool.
Satoko took advantage of Takano's stupor to place something onto her head. It was a pair of white, fluffy bunny ears?
Now, Hanyu. Here I go. Flash!
Flash? What? Huh? What's this? Bunny ears? Oh, okay. Huh? Hanyu had used her inhuman powers to interfere with Tamara's own power for a moment, creating a break in the protection Takano received as her priestess. Of course, since Tamara was very powerful due to ruling over vast regions of land, Hanyu could only break her power for a moment. However, that moment was plenty. Oh.
Taking you home!
Great. I think Rena would still be stronger than powered Takano, though, anyways. But the power scaling implications are insane. Rena's heavy blow was concentrated on Takano's face, and Keiichi swept her feet in the opposite direction. Takano's body spun in the air and then slammed face down onto the mountain of rubble she'd created herself. If she had Tamarahime no Mikoto's protection, then Rena's attack would have been little more than the toying of a house cat. But in that one moment, she had reverted to the ordinary Takano, which meant that it was a finishing blow. Takano suffered a concussion and passed out. Awesome. What's going on? Is Rena-san really human? I'm surprised. After witnessing Takano's supernatural power just a moment ago, Shion and the others could replace their shock with strange smiles. I'm glad their plan wasn't just swap Satoko with Une, because if it was just that, then Takano probably would have just crushed her skull. Of course, because they just witnessed the club member instantly beat her in her superhuman strength. Well, all of them. Except for Mion, I guess. Don't go saying I did nothing, okay? This was my strategy, and I devised it after considering our situation and all our members' abilities. Got it, okay? Thanks for breaking the fourth wall just as I said that. Oh, sis, you're here? I didn't notice. It's so funny how, with the original sprites, their facial expressions literally are the same. I can't believe she took down that monstrous version of Takano-san so effortlessly.
Une-san, there's nothing to fear anymore. You can come out now.
Howdy.
It's not scary anymore?
Une timidly emerged from the shadows where she hid wearing Satoko's clothes. Normally, we wouldn't have been able to fool Tamarahime no Mikoto's eyes with just a change of clothes. Takano was certainly able to see Une, even through a wall with her divine power. Yet when Takano broke through the wall and saw her with her own eyes, her human perception took priority, and she mistook Une for Satoko because of her clothes. That's why she fell for the club member's trap. Yeah, we got that.
My priestess. How could you? Takano's passed out. You can't lend her your power anymore.
It's amusing that the Japanese word for passing out is written as losing God. Nice one. Thanks for translating the pun actually pretty well. Good job. Tamura may have been granting Takano powerful strength as her priestess, but she couldn't give her anything while she was unconscious.
It's unfortunate for you. This wasn't our first or second time dealing with Takano.
This happened because you underestimated the power of my priestess. Now, Tamurahime no Mikoto, you shall be silent for a while. Hanyu Flash!
Why does she just suddenly have this ability? Suddenly she cries, I guess. Hanyu made scissor symbols with both her hands and placed them near her horns, causing a bright light to rush forth and banish the sight of Tamurahime no Mikoto. Apparently erasing the image of Tamura didn't mean defeating her, though. But I'm still grateful we won't have to see that annoying face for a while. Tamura let out a scream and a pose like a defeated Sentai villain before disappearing. Sure. Now, let's get Takano-san all tied up while we can.
She was incredibly strong, too. We'll need to bind her with chains.
Nope. Priestess defeated. Defeat a priestess and save another god. Cool. I felt sorry for her. Takano was just a frail woman without Tamura's power, but her bonds were ridiculously secure. Well, that settles that.
Is everything settled for us?
It is. That mean old nuisance Tamura is gone now.
Tomitake will take care of the rest. Isn't that right?
Is that true, Mion-chan? Amazing! You have everything here! Well, there's nothing we Sonozakis can't get a hold of.
What's going on?
Where's Akane, anyways? She hasn't shown up once. Apparently, there's a powerful radio here. Sounds like Tomitake-san can use it to make contact with the outside. It was the Sonozakis' illegally modified radio. According to Tomitake, it could send signals out without being affected by the radio interference. I'll test it to see if I can contact Tokyo. Une-chan might be the savior we need after all. In order to use the neuroparasite as a weapon, it was essential to have a vaccine for it. So the strength of Une's roots would prove a powerful vaccine against the infection of Eta-173 and most other viruses like it. Tokyo would definitely be interested in that.
You're incredible, Tomitake-san. You can do anything.
So, hold on. How do we know we're already done here when... They said, while Takano's passed out, Tamura can't give her her powers. But doesn't that imply when Takano comes back too, that they could? At that point, why not just kill her? That would be a more effective strategy, right? Well, I just studied it a bit as a hobby.
That's the end of our grand adventure, I suppose.
That'd be an anticlimactic way to end. I guess the arc's almost over? I hope so. I'm already exhausted. Also, this episode's going pretty long.
I can leave this town now? Yes, you can get out. Well, you'll probably be held prisoner for a while, though, but they can't do anything without your cooperation, so you'll be treated well, I think.
Une, welcome to Earth. Let's both bloom together here on this planet. With Tamurahime no Mikoto as well, of course. I'm so happy. Thank you, Hanyu.
Aw. But that's a chapter split. I'd assume we're almost done, right? Perhaps?